Wagwan. With the people them saying it's your boy LP and we're back with a new show, Next Generation Baller Show. Thank you guys for looking in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Yes, all of that good stuff. Game week 11, it is popping off. Yes, I know it's the dreaded international break, but hey, we're gonna lock into it. We got a lot. It's been a tasty weekend. It's been a tasty weekend. Arsenal dropping points, Liverpool getting smoked again. Man City look like they're on a resurgence. I did say watch out for Man City. A lot of the big teams looking like they're starting to shape up. And a lot of teams down the bottom is getting interesting down there with Newcastle not really performing. West Ham looking like they're getting back to winning ways. But yes, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Lock in, guys. Bang. Let's start off with the Manchester, or say Manchester, not even. The North of England derby between Manchester City and Liverpool. 3-0 to Liverpool, absolutely destroyed Liverpool. Haaland at it again. City creeping on Arsenal, now 4 points behind. And I did say, I'm saying it again, when Pep starts smiling, you know you're in trouble. And Pep Guardiola looks to seem that he's got his team playing that he wants to. And boy, Arsenal now with Manchester City breathing down their neck. It's going to be a big challenge going into that game. Haaland kicking off the scoring. No, it was Gyökeres, not Gyökeres, what's his name? Gonzalez. Sorry, I'll get there then. Gonzalez with the opener. Haaland then getting a goal. And then I think it was Doku with the third goal. Outstanding finish outside of the box. Curled it into the top corner. Manchester City also missed the penalty. And there was the debate about that the goal between Van Dijk and Robertson being offside. And for me, it's offside. I don't understand all this narrative, and we've seen it before, this and that. Like, this is one thing I don't really like, especially in the punditry and when people talk about fans, and people do it a lot, is that when a wrong decision happens, people's like, oh, but it happened there, it should happen there. A wrong decision is a wrong decision. And my man was clearly offside. You're in the line of his vision. We don't know if he's going to save. We do not know what the keeper's going to do. From the fact that you're there, it's offside. So for me, the referee's got that right, and I don't really see the hullabaloo in terms of people saying it should have got given. Yes, it would have had a big impact on the game, and Liverpool, most rightly, considering the entirety of the game, probably didn't even deserve that goal anyway. But for me, it was a right decision. Definitely a big a pointer in that game. And for me, like I said before, Manchester City look like the team to me. We'll speak about Arsenal later with them dropping points, but with Manchester City, and especially like I will say it and I keep repeating it so the receipts are there. When you've got one of the best strikers in the world, you've got the chance of winning any trophy. So when Haaland's on that pitch and Manchester City are performing well, they've always got a chance. And I think one player who needs a special mention, and I think is the player that's given Pep Guardiola the smiles that we're seeing nowadays, and I think that's Jeremy Doku. Jeremy Doku over the last couple weeks, I think, has really started to turn a corner. There was a lot of question marks when he first joined Manchester City. He had the pace, he had the raw ability, but did he have the end product? A lot of people was questioning coming to this season. Had a decent start, faltered a bit, but boy, oh boy, has he stepped up. And for me, he looks like a Raheem Sterling region. Remember when they had Raheem Sterling and Sane on that side? Devastating wingers. Now they've got the likes of Doku on that ride and Savino on the other side. I feel like that's where Pep Guardiola is now at his happiest, and Doku is starting to produce. That rawness is starting to be defined a little bit more. His technical ability, winning to pass, winning to move, and like a lot of people are saying, is he will get better over time once he understands his position a bit more. Once his teammates understand his unpredictability, I think he's going to be one of the top wingers in the world. And I think Manchester City, with the likes of him performing the way he is, and Haaland, and with the quality that they've got, we've seen Foden also coming into his form recently, got back into the England squad. and we're seeing the defense looking a lot more assured. I know we've seen them leak goals at the start of the season, but Manchester City, we all know by history in their 4 title winning seasons, they have slow starts. So this is nothing new to Manchester City and Pep Guardiola, and I think he's just happy that his team are finally starting to play some ball. You know what I'm saying? Starting to play some ball. Ryan O'Leary on the left hand side, that young left back as well. Give a big shout out to him. I've also got into the England squad, performing really well on that left-hand side. I think it's kind of going underrated. I think Manchester City as a whole are becoming underrated. And I think that's slightly because when it comes to football, we like the fashion new toy. And I think Arsenal, their 22 years of not winning a title, I think everyone was expecting Arsenal to go and win this title. So I think Manchester City, it's not really as glorious as much because we've seen what they can do. But hey, they are the big threat. And with their performance against Liverpool over this weekend, going into the international break, Pep Guardiola will be happy. And let's not forget, Rodri's still not back. So I think they'll take time with Rodri. With Rodri fully fit, coming back into that team as well, Manchester City can go up another level. Well, let's talk about Liverpool. Liverpool suffering bad, sitting 8th in the Premier League on 18 points. Some people are calling for Slot to get sacked. What do you guys think? Let us know what's going on with Liverpool. I said it before. I feel like Liverpool understand what they're doing. I think the ownership wasn't naive to the situation that they have put upon themselves. And what I mean by that is, like I said, the money that they spent, it was a clear plan not to spend over a course of seasons, and they spent big over the course of the summer. But they must have knew that when you get so much quality into that team with a new manager as well, it is going to take time to gel. And I think the Liverpool ownership, I think they knew they needed to solve this problem because the likes of Van Dijk getting older, got him on a new contract. Obviously, we know Trent left. Also, Salah's getting a bit old, and obviously Klopp has left, and Slot would need to retransition and formulate his own team. So I think the ownership are not naive to know that, hey, this might take a little bit of time. You can't expect him to go on and win the league. Obviously, results do determine your state of your position as a manager. And if he doesn't pattern up and start winning some games, it's going to get real dark for Doki. It's going to get real dark for him. So, but at the same time, I do believe the Liverpool ownership, and they got a history. They don't really sack their managers quite quickly. And I think because of the talent that they do have, and I feel like they don't want to put themselves in a position where they're in a managerial windfall where they're just sacking managers, getting managers, sacking managers. So I believe they'll give him a little bit of time. And I think the expectation would be, do get Champions League football in the league. I understand you might not win it. But also I believe because of the way that they play and how European football is, do not write off Liverpool to have a good fist pump at it when it comes to the Champions League. But they've got big question marks. Again, Wirt's not performing, Isak not performing, the team's just not quite gelling. I know they've got a few injuries here and there, but again, let us know what you think about Liverpool and their standing. Do you think they can improve? Some people still think that they can go and get the title. For me, I think their title is over. I think the title is over. I think for Liverpool, they have to focus on getting that performance. It's about getting that performance, focus on the players gelling and really connecting as a team first before they start reigniting and start pushing for titles again. I think Liverpool, I think they understand. I think the ownership understand that. And I think Champions League qualification will be the minimum for Slot in the league. But when it comes to the cup competition, especially the FA Cup, a cup that he hasn't won before, and the Champions League, I do believe Slot will definitely push and definitely try and savor his season in terms of trophies when it comes to Liverpool. But let us know what you guys think. Do you think Man City are gonna catch Arsenal? We're now moving on to them swiftly now because Arsenal, have they been found out? Has their time come? 2-2 draw against Sunderland, drop points at the Stadium of Light for Arsene Wenger and his men, and Brian Bobby with the equaliser. What, for me, I always said the test for Arsenal is going to be getting over this corner FC set piece stuff. For me, watched football for many long times. I've seen good teams go and win titles and be dominant in Europe, and this type of football ain't it. The quality's there at Arsenal. I just feel this for me, yes, these records, unbeaten, up this corner stuff, yes, it all sounds good for what, but what I'm seeing with my eyes, it doesn't look like a Premier League champions to me. And they've got to kind of figure it out. I know they have a few injuries to the likes of Odie, Noni, Gaio's not really performing to the levels that they're quite performing. But overall, they have the squad and it's their time. If they don't win it, boy, like what else can I say? But I did say Arsenal against the small teams, this is where the problem is. When I come and I talk about a title-winning team and a team that I expect to go and win the title, when you look at a team, especially when the lesser teams, when they go into that type of team, fear is one of the biggest components that is instilled in that team that make these lesser teams fall back and not really want to express themselves, and you end up making the game easier for yourself and you go and win it. And we've seen that with the likes of the Man City teams of the past, the Liverpool teams of the past, and if we're talking back in the day, even the Sir Alex teams and the Chelsea teams with Jose Mourinho, that fear into the team is a big component. And right now, I just don't feel Arsenal really give you that fear, because the problem is, over the course of becoming a set-piece team, teams will kind of work that out, study you, and then once you unlock that, what do you have left? And then once another team finds that out, a team like Sunderland, that's going to give everyone else confidence. So now no one's going to go to Arsenal feeling, oh my God, I don't want to go to Emirates today, or Arsenal's coming to town. It's going to be a tough game. Yes, every game in the Premier League is tough, but that fear factor, thinking, oh, do you know what? Like, I'm just going to let them win today. And I just feel like with Arsenal, it's not really quite there. And I feel that comes from the manager as well. When you have that quality in the team, it's down to the manager to pick the right team, pick the right players, make them correct substitutions, get that right result. And I feel like that's one of the biggest problems with Arteta now. I think the squad is there, and I think the players help him a lot. And there's been times when they have played good football and stuff has worked out. But I think when it gets to that, the crack in the elite end, that world-class end to make that right decision or play that player at the right time, I feel that's where Arsenal and Arteta struggle. So it's going to be, they got big work to do, because after the international break, Manchester City are going to be on their neck. Me personally, I've tipped Manchester City to go and win the title. I think that they'll catch Arsenal. I just don't think Arsenal quite have it. But if they're going to have any chance of winning this title, they have to get back to winning ways, and they have to produce better football. For me, they have to produce that better football. They have to produce that fear into the team. And again, with Manchester City, when Haaland comes to, when you know you're playing against Haaland as a defender, you know it's a long day. As a keeper, you know it's a long day. I don't feel teams are going to be feeling that when Gaio turns up. Saka really hasn't been sensational this season. Odie hasn't really performing. Yes, Rice is playing really well, but he's further down the pitch where he has much more less of an impact. So for me, question marks about Arsenal. Let us know what you think. Do you think Arsenal's going to go on and win the title? Do you think they're going to run away? Do you think what I'm saying is rubbish? But for me, I still think there's a lot of questions that Arsenal need to answer if they're going to go on and be Premier League champions. But yeah, moving on from Arsenal, Chelsea, 3-0 win, back to winning ways. Enzo says the team seems to be finding consistency, I should say. Don't know where that come from, considering their disappointing draw in midweek. Again, question marks about Chelsea in terms of their consistency. I always said it, you're going to get highs, you're going to get lows. I feel like this is one of the highs from Chelsea, where the likes have Garnacho. He's had a good game. He's gone on and got the winner. I think he got 2 goals in that game, and he's shown his quality. And I think over the course of the season, there's going to be games where he's not. He's going to stink at the place. He's going to have opportunities where he should have scored, and maybe it's going to cost Chelsea. But important win. Wolves with a bounce back. I did say myself, I ain't going to cap. I did say in the group chat that Wolves with the manager bounce back. I did expect them to go out and put in a decent performance. And they started off well. They was hounding down Chelsea. Chelsea was struggling to get through the lines. But in the end, the quality kind of shown. And I think, yeah, Wolves, I know they got Rob Edwards just signed for Wolves as manager, leaving Middlesbrough top of the table. But I heard that he's actually a Wolves fan, lives close to the area, and is basically it's a family thing. So he's over there to do one for the family. So yeah, Wolves. I think they've got they've got a lot of work to do when it comes to, obviously, if they want to stay in the Premier League, and maybe they might be resigned to going into the Championship. They might understand that that's their fate, and they've got a manager in that knows the Championship well. Got Luton promoted, looked like he was getting Middlesbrough promoted to the Premier League. So maybe contingency plan for Wolves. Let us know what you think. Moving on to my boys, Manchester United 2-2 draw against Spurs over the weekend. It was a bit of a up and down result. Up and down result for me. Obviously, I was happy that we managed to get the win in the end. 1 second. I was happy that we managed to get the win in the end, but for me, the defense is obviously the issue. The defense is obviously the issue. I know De Ligt managed to get a goal. I know De Ligt managed to get the goal in the end, but this reoccurrence of conceding 2 goals in quick succession, it's getting on my nerves, because the quality in the defense is there. For me personally, I don't think it's individual. I think it's collective. Because there was issues in the game where I saw with Dalot and just his positioning. Because in this formation, it's very strict. I feel like in the formation that you see it, if you don't play it correctly, there can be gaps, there can be holes. But when you play it correctly, there's no space. You can squash teams, you can suffocate them, you can win the ball high, you can play out in so many different options and create so many opportunities. But that's the issue. What Man United are struggling is that players that having that consistent discipline, and sometimes it's the players that have good quality. Like with Ahmed, I just saw a lot of issues when he was tracking back, and some may say, hey, he shouldn't even be playing there in the first place. He's not a right wing back. He should be playing right wing. But we shouldn't be seeing what Mbeumo does, and we've seen the effect that actually Ahmad has when he plays in that position. He is effective and he does well for the team. And like people say, sometimes it's better to have someone, sometimes you've got to imbalance it. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you might have someone that's good at one thing but not so good at the other, but the other takes care of. Do you get when we had the likes of Trent, who's not really the best defensively, but what he offers you in that passing, you can kind of get away with it when it comes to the defensive action. So with Dalot, I think that's the issue. But again, I think teams suss these little gaps in the teams and weaknesses and exploit them hard. And that was one of the issues that I was seeing with the wing backs, is that if you don't run back and close up that space quickly, it can create that gap quickly and create an opportunity. And again, over as a team for Manchester United, I just don't know where it is when we can see that goal. I don't know if it's just that belief in the first 5 minutes that we just think it's going to be a bad day. But again, Manchester United way has come in delayed with the equaliser at the end after Richarlison jumping around like an idiot, think he can say that he won the game. But like, yeah, obviously that's good to see in terms of getting the equaliser. But for me, you've got to do more, got to be consistent. I did say Man United is in the title race, very slim. Obviously, Manchester City and Arsenal are performing a little bit better in terms of managing to get the victories over the line. Obviously, Arsenal dropping points, but previously to that, had a good, decent winning record. And for Manchester United, again, the key is to get back Sesko. Obviously, now, one thing I was very annoyed about, again, issue what I said with, we've got Sesko, one striker. Okay, I did fall back on saying Cunha playing up front. I don't really mind it. But again, his man has just got injured. He says it's an issue with his knee. We could be looking at 2-3 months. And then, like, do you get Cunha up front for 2-3 months? Is it going to affect the squad? And we can see the big problem with Manchester United is when we make them substitutions, we don't really look up to scratch. Like the substitutions, sometimes you just want that substitution to come and just tick over, add a little bit impetus. And I don't really feel that we're getting that with the likes of Kobe. I think Ugarte was at fault for one of the goals, being slow coming out from the back, kept the player on side, with Richarlison on side. And for me, yes, there needs to be investment for Manchester United in the January transfer window. There needs to be big investment. Just in adding that quality into the squad, giving Ruben Amorim more options when man's making substitutions. Because right now, I don't think he's getting what he wants, especially from the substitutes. And obviously, there's rotations, and some players have to earn their way back into the team. And I can definitely see why certain players ain't starting in this team right now, because even when they come on, they're just doing silly little stuff and just putting Manchester United not in an uncomfortable position and making the last 10, 15, 20 minutes of the game quite edgy for Man United. Spurs, obviously, I feel like they'll be disappointed in the fact that they got to a position where they was late in the game and they was winning and conceded a late goal. But I thought it was a decent result for them overall, considering that maybe the whole course of the game, some might say Manchester United should have won. Obviously, issues at home for Spurs and Thomas Frank, but I feel like with Spurs, obviously, again, Richarlison scoring, Tell did score. Maybe the strikers are starting to produce them goals, but obviously, we always say the question mark about Spurs and conceding the goals. They didn't really look much of a threat in that first half. I didn't really think Spurs looked much of a threat the whole game, but after they made them substitutions, later on in the game, they came quite effective and scored them 2 goals. But again, conceding like a late goal will be a big concern for Thomas Frank and his men. And I just want to give a big shout out to the boy Thiago, because man like Thiago at Brentford, again, over the weekend, brilliant result for Brentford against Newcastle, 3-1 result. And the boy Thiago, he's banging in them goals, ain't he? You know, he's banging in them goals. And I think, I always said I miss the tall, bully boy strikers. And he's the type of striker that I love. Reminds me of the likes of Yakubu, the Darren Bens, just big. Well, not so Darren Bent, but more Yakubu. You know, it's just the big on your shuffle over. Kevin Davis is at Bolton, you know, just get in and amongst them and just scores the goal. DJ Drogba's, the Costas, them off the light, just ruffle and tumble. And I feel like Thiago adds that fear into the defenders, and he's been such signing for Brentford. And wait, Wissa has gone to Newcastle, the team, his former team, not even fit to play the game. Hasn't really had an impact or managed to play for Newcastle. I don't think he's even played a game for him. I think he's played about a couple. And then Newcastle used that money, got a striker in from nowhere. Big credit to Brentford and their recruitment team, because wherever they sign this striker from, there is a lot of strikers in the league that could do with a striker like Thiago. West Ham, Everton, Newcastle, not Newcastle, Leeds. A lot of teams over the course of even Spurs feel like, yeah, Thiago would definitely be starting in their team right now. 10 big chances, 4.5 XG. He's banging in them goals. He's definitely a player to keep your eye on. And if he's not in your fantasy team, I think you should put him. I'm definitely going to put him in mine. I was even thinking on a weekend, why the hell did I not put this guy in my fantasy team? But we see what we get. Don't forget as well, guys, join the fantasy team. If the link is not here, go on our social media. I'll put a link in there after, or you can just go on our social media. The winner of the Next Generation Baller League gets £100 prize. So lock in if you want to win yourself £100 prize. And yeah, man, the boy Thiago's really doing a thing. Wolves struggling at the bottom, like I said, 3-0 defeat to Chelsea, and it looks like they're going to be getting in them relegation spots, man. And let us know what you guys think. For me, I thought with the international break coming up, like I said, I feel like City are the team to look out for. They're the team I feel like is going to go on and win the league. Arsenal, big question marks about Arteta. Like I said, can they produce something else apart from that set pieces? Can they add that fear? Can they produce that football? Big weekend for Manchester United. I know they're couple of weeks unbeaten in 5 games. It has a table turned. Are Manchester United really going in the right direction? We'll see when they come back. The fixtures look favorable for them, but we'll see how they go on. Let us know what you guys think. Appreciate you guys locking in. Don't forget to like and sub, and I'll see you guys next week. And yes, don't worry, got something coming. Let's go, buddy.